Good morning and afternoon. It's Wednesday, 9 a.m. Pacific. Welcome all to the 6th episode of the Sharing Show in 2021. I'm Kane, and today I'm joined with David, better known as the Workday Sharing Guy, along with Christy, Teresa, and special guests.
Kane, what's the most important thing about Zoom chat?
The most important thing about the Zoom chat today is make sure that you select all panelists and attendees. That way, when you're asking questions and sharing on the show today, everybody can see the questions and the answers coming back. Without further ado, I'm going to pass it over to you guys. Take it away.
Hi, everyone. Let's test that chat by giving me a 1, 2, 3, or 4 if you've received my email regarding your 99 number. 1 for yes, 2 for not sure, 3 for still waiting for it, or 4, what's a 99 number? So we're almost a month before September, and we have over 600 customers registered for the 99 Cheerathon.
All right, and Christy, thank you for sending me the information. It looks about like 3/4 of the 600 are .com. If you combine org and edu, it's about a quarter. And there's twice as many edus as orgs who are registered so far. Like Christy said, there's over a month away. We're expecting to get close to 1,000.
Anyone who's registered should have received an email from me with your 99 number. We've also requested for you to send us your community ID. That's part of your 99 access, and that's available online through your Workday community ID login.
Yeah, so Workday friend Christy, if you haven't seen it yet, it's possible you put a typo in your email, but I think it would have bounced back, Christy, right? So you should see an email like this. It might not be exactly this, right? But Christy, I know you can't actually set up the 99 access without knowing someone's community ID. This is the way we know that everyone's part of the Workday ecosystem. Well, Christy, I could show where that community ID is, because people used to type that in to enter into community, but now everyone gets into community a different way, so you might have forgotten it or never knew what it was. So when you click on, I just clicked on myself in the upper right, and it's typically first initial and last name. And if there's more than one of you, or if you've worked at more than one place, there's a digit on the end, or maybe 2 digits. If you're one of the lucky Jane Smith or John Smiths, you might even be into triple digits by now. Okay, so hopefully everyone sees here how to get your community ID to Christy. I'm David, the sharing guy. I have a handshake agreement with Workday that I make it clear to everyone I no longer work at Workday. I was employee 149 almost 14 years ago. My views do not necessarily represent Workday's, and Cheerathons are knowledge sharing and actually experience sharing. It's not necessarily knowledge. Sometimes you're asking questions and that's just helping other people learn. It's peer sharing and learning at its best. It's not training. I'm also on a mission to help as many Workday customers as possible. So I'm highly recommending this 99 Cheerathon. It's open to the entire ecosystem. If you're here for the first time and you're not a customer, but a partner, software partner, consulting partner, Workday employee, it's open to all of you as long as you have a community ID. I'm also going to recommend to you LinkedIn groups. So we have a customer sharing movement LinkedIn group, as well as the sharing show and the ecosystem sharing and networking. And I know that this is working, that people are using LinkedIn because this person here has one connection and they have one mutual group. And you could guess who that one connection is, right? So some people are actually creating LinkedIn accounts just so that they can be part of 99 and part of the customer sharing movement. Okay, so can you be a purple squirrel? More and more people are asking me, what is this purple squirrel thing is? So you could of course search for it online, but very few people know all 7 of these things across the top. My emails that come from the customer sharing movement or from me help you get to be closer and closer to being a purple squirrel. There's a tip every week with every email. So BPs, reporting dashboards, calc fields. There's probably a fair number of you who might know all 4 of those, but you also know security and inbound EIBs. And then the killer, do you also know integrations as well as all of those? Now, you might think that would make you a purple squirrel, but what about all the different areas? Like under financials, do you know reporting? Okay, you got a little purple squirrel badge for that. How about integrations? Do you know Financials integrations. Well, how many people could fill out this whole thing? I don't think hardly anyone comes close. I know I'm a pretty small percentage of that entire grid. So how do you get closer and closer? Join the customer sharing movement. It's not the same as your registration here for the sharing show. So that's for customers only. There's also the LinkedIn group I mentioned, which is the ecosystem sharing and networking. So if you join the customer sharing movement, you should be getting these emails every Wednesday. Search for the word Hopyard. That's actually the street address for David the Sharing Guy, kind of a popular name of a street in the PeopleSoft days. So can you be a purple squirrel? Well, how much does it cost to attend 9-9? It's actually $9.9 billion. Seems like a lot, a little bit greedy there, Dr. Evil, but if you register today, it's the final date. We've been saying, look, register before June, register before July. All of those who have registered, 600, you don't have to register again. You just have to find the email from Christy. So what are we doing for those who registered today? We're going to divide that $9.9 billion by 100 million. So it's only going to cost you $99. Please register today. We're, the Eventbrite is already set up to bump up tomorrow. And today we ship out a hat. These are shirts from the previous years. And if you register tomorrow, there's no promises. We'll do our best to get you a hat before 9-9 actually starts. We need to get a count before we order all the hats, shirts, pajama bottoms, you name it, socks. We need to know how many people are coming. So starting tomorrow, it's $199. It's $100 more. And you'll see it when you go to the Eventbrite page for the 9-9 Ecosystem Cheerathon. So this is a picture of it. You could register more than one person or contact us if you're part of a team. You could get a discount that way. And this says the sale ends in 20 hours. Well, I was up kind of late last night. So it's ending at midnight tonight. Starting tomorrow, it's $199. And that's it. Back to you guys.
So Teresa, who's next up on today's fantastic lineup of sharing fans?
Next, we have George from New York. He's going to share some 9-9 fun.
So I thought I'd tell you a couple of things that happened on 9/9 in history. So on September 9th in 1776, the United States of America got our official name. And you see, before that, we were actually called the United Colonies. That happened on September 9th. And September 9th, 1939, the movie Gone with the Wind had its first preview. It was a surprise preview for some viewers in California. And officially, the film debuted in December. It was one of the biggest box office hits at the time. In September 9th, 1956, Elvis Presley appeared on the Ed Sullivan Show for the first time. He appeared 3 times. This was the first time he was on the show, and it was kind of a very big deal. In fact, it was the most watched broadcast of the 1950s. But on September 9th in 2021, the ecosystem will kick off the Cheerathon, and you can participate as David described by registering. If you haven't done it already, please register today. And we like to see you there with networking, hands-on sessions, the virtual expo floor, and lots of sharing and learning.
Awesome. Thank you, George.
Who do we have up next on our lineup of sharing fans?
Teresa, we have Amber from Tennessee. Hi, Amber.
Hi, how's everyone? I'm so excited to be here. This is my first one, so I just wanted to call that out because I think it's really important. So being a first-time guest, I've been in the Workday ecosystem since 2011, and I could just say, kind of like David, I used to be a Workday employee, and my number was 735 pre-IPO. I've been doing independent consulting for 5 years, and I, by no stretch of the imagination, call myself a purple squirrel, but I love the dabbling in every area. So you can see here, I started off with actual reporting, and then I slowly got into core HCM, recruiting, benefits, time tracking, business processes, security, and even a little bit of integrations. But let's be honest, you don't want me to touch that with a 10-foot pole. So from a really quick ideas, reporting tips and tricks, I'm sure you've seen this before, but this is what I use almost every day if I am troubleshooting a report or a calculated field that I just can't seem to just get. So I go to my related actions, you go to reporting, and then from there you can see the report fields and values. And out of that, you really get the opportunity to say, Is that report and value associated to that field or objects that you're doing the related actions off of? It gives you that insight to kind of say what's happening. And if that doesn't give it to you, it's looking at that business object details. And that could then maybe give you an idea of what object or which field you should be looking at either for your calculated field or report. And then obviously we have 2021 R2 preparation. Oh my goodness, if you haven't looked into it, the must update you have to be prepared for is the new benefits view. You're going to have open enrollment. If you've been delaying it, if you're looking at it, it's new. Some people love it. Some people hate it. You don't have a choice anymore. You've got to adopt it. So that's the biggest thing. And of course, let's be honest, community has everything. So you want to be able to say, go out onto the preparation center, make sure that you're prepared, spend the time as we get information. And if nothing else, you have kind of a, here's what I got to get done so I can make sure that I'm successful with this new release. And on top of that, I'm going, and here is my why for the Cheerathon. It's one code, it's one community, and it's one way to elevate and empower each other. We have to share. This is the beauty of Workday. We love being in the Workday community. And let's be honest, since last year, we really just want to be spending time together and sharing with each other to elevate this awesome software that we get to work with.
Thank you, Amber, and thank you for all your encouragement here for 9.9, including this idea of a flying purple squirrel.
Yeah,
I just love it. Okay, thank you, Amber.
Teresa, who do we have up next on today's fantastic lineup of sharing fans?
Next, we have Brooke from Florida.
Welcome back,
Welcome,
Brooke.
Awesome. Glad to be back. So I will cover a couple topics today, and then we'll really deep dive in the breakout sessions. So I'm going to do just a quick overview of the job application BP. So this business process really controls the move forward options and the decline options within the recruiting flow. So really what next steps are happening, the review, screen, assessment, those are all controlled in here. And on the screenshot right there where you see review, screen, assessment, interview, all those tabs, those are sub-processes of the job application, and those have their own individual business process. So this really just controls that move forward and decline piece where those sub-BPs would control the steps within the review or screen business process. So a couple call outs really quick before we, we'll deep dive in the session, but really what you would use this, a lot of things that you can do on here is restrict, let's say, managers from seeing certain steps or recruiters only seeing certain move forward actions. So that's a great use case. And if there are disposition reasons, you only want managers to select if they can move candidates forward or decline them. That's another great solution. And if there are different process flows for hourly versus salary, for example, this is where this would be configured. So just a quick overview, and we'll cover that in the breakout. The next topic I wanted to cover was troubleshooting candidates' offer letters with a report. So for me, this has been an awesome troubleshooting technique that I think people just forget about. So I'm definitely happy to share in the breakout sessions the report definition so others can create this. But just an example on the screen shows that different calculated fields can be brought into the report. So really the use case is, let's say an issue came up with an offer letter where a calc field is returning empty or not returning at all or returning an incorrect amount, or your condition rules aren't working. You can pull those into your reports, the condition rules, the calc fields. Well, I should say the calc fields within the condition rules, but the fields within there you can pull into your report to actually help troubleshoot instead of having to renegotiate the offer every time. So it really makes it a one-stop shop, efficient place to troubleshoot those letters. So again, we'll deep dive that in the breakout. The next slide is really exciting. So speaking of 9.9, with being in over a month out, here are the recruiting sessions that we have on the agenda right now. We're definitely open to some other topics that I will definitely discuss in the breakout as well. But just to call out a few, we will spend time to have an open session on any of the R2 release items that came out for recruiting. The another topic would be just networking around Skills Cloud and what Skills Cloud offers for the benefits with recruiting and talent and performance. Also, a big ask that I've seen throughout the time I've been working with Workday Recruiting is India letters or any offshore offer letters. Those tend to be more challenging, so definitely want to spend some time showing diving deep into showing how to config those and what areas we've run into. Another great one is a CRM has been a huge thing that's been coming up with customers. They're wanting to implement a CRM with Workday. So a popular one that I've seen is Phenom. I've worked with that about 3 times now with 3 different customers. So being able to just network around CRMs, the pros and cons, lessons learned, anything like that. And then other CRMs, not just Phenom, but other CRMs. And then automatic stage routing and knockout. I think those are just a really underrated item that's really highly requested and then just not utilized in Workday. And then lastly, I thought a good session would be just networking all things recruiting. So really letting anyone come in a session and be able to talk about any questions, troubles they have with recruiting, or anything creative that they may want to share with others.
Okay, thank you, Brooke. For those who didn't know, Friday, so 9/9 is a 5 workday event. Starts on a Thursday, ends on a Wednesday. And on Friday night, we all get 2021 R2. So I love this idea, Brooke, of you having an open session on Monday so everybody knows if they've got any questions about what they're looking at, maybe not what they were expecting. I don't know how often people get surprised with the releases. I typically get surprised by at least one thing every time. I don't know, Brooke, like where you live in recruiting, like this is something that I'm thinking will be quite important for people to know about for Monday.
Yeah, I agree. I think so too.
Okay, and then in case you didn't know, Phenom, the previous name was called Phenom People, and they have been a sponsor here on the show, if you didn't know that. So that's great that you're doing a session just with them, or not just with them, but other CRMs, but highlighting that one because it's quite popular. And then the all things recruiting. Well, I guess people get somewhat of a flavor of that during your breakout here, or like during the breakout, people can talk about all of these things, or however you want to run that. We'll get the Zoom out to people here pretty soon. Thank you, Brooke.
Great, thanks so much. Who do we have next on today's lineup?
Teresa, we have India from Texas. They're going to be going over financials.
All right, Indy, welcome.
All right, hi everyone. This is Indy from Texas, and excited to be here. Actually, good to be back on the show, and good morning, good evening to all the fans out there. So I just wanted to share some of the topics that we have planned for the 9/9 event. As you guys know, on Workday Financial, we have a lot of innovation, a lot of new things coming up. So here are some of the topics: month-end close, financial reporting, worksheets and discovery boards, adaptive planning, supplier portal, accounting center, integrations, and monitoring of the integration. So we're open to additional topics. If there are any additional items that would you like to discuss based on what's coming up in the 2021 R2 or any topics in general, we can do that. So very looking forward to the 9/9 event.
Okay, now Indy, is similar to Brooke having several different sessions. I haven't defined yet what a session is. They're on the hour, every hour for many hours of each of these 5 days. But the session itself is only 45 minutes. And so that gives everybody 15 minutes in between the sessions. So Indy, let me ask you a question, like integrations monitoring. The integrations monitoring, like everybody has that, whether it's financials or not, but your session is tailored to the financials, Workday financial customers. Is that right?
Correct. Any system that are integrating with financials, and if we have any dependencies within Workday itself, so best practices around those, how other customers might be leveraging integrations and the monitoring related to that. So those type of things we're hoping to discuss in that session.
Yeah. Okay. And same with worksheets and discovery boards. It's for the financials audience.
Correct.
Awesome.
Because some of those items are pretty broad open, and we would love to share some of the use cases because a lot of customers are using it differently. For example, worksheets could be used for month-end close process, and how in conjunction the customers might be using those. So yeah, you're absolutely correct, David.
Okay, now Indy, I'm hesitating going to this next slide because I don't know what you're going to say. But thank you for sending me this.
Yeah, so I actually had a chance to catch up with David from my Texas to California trip, and we have a trailer coming up for all the fans to talk about some of the things that we will be discussing on the 9/9 event. So look out for that on LinkedIn. We will be sharing that. So again, that's the David, the sharing guy, juggling right there.
All right, Indy, thank you. So I titled this Juggling Workday because last year's 9/9 event was actually the end of September. We called it a September Cheerathon, and the keynote was CTO of Workday, Dave Sohigian. His keynote was all about juggling. So we have some surprise keynotes coming up. We'll update you on customer sharing movement about that. Thank you, Indy.
Thank you.
Thank you, Indy. Teresa, can you fill us in on who's next on today's fantastic lineup?
Yes, next we have Eric from Florida and Todd from New York, and they are going to talk about boomerangs.
Okay, Eric, you get to go first and then Todd.
Okay, quick introduction. It's not my first time being on the sharing show. I've attended before, but I've got 12 years of combined Workday experience between being a customer and a consultant. I am Workday Pro Certified in HCM, Core Connectors and Document Transformation and Reporting. But I also know security and business process fundamentals and integrations. I've personally built about 10 different boomerangs for companies that I've worked for. Fun note, I've participated in 4 Workday hackathons. I placed 3rd in the first one that I went to for the team. And that was before they were all focused on Workday Extend. What is a boomerang? I know a lot of people on the call may know what they are, but there's some new folks. So to quote a very wise man, simply put, a boomerang pulls data out of Workday, transforms it in some way, and pushes it back into Workday. It's different from what most people think of as integrations because they usually tie 2 different systems together. In this case, it's Workday sending data back to Workday. And I use them for automating business processes or functions that HR has to do manually. What processes can you automate? Pretty much anything that's a business process. Anything you can do with an EIB can be automated with a boomerang. Some examples: ending contingent worker contracts. If you have contingent workers that have stayed past their end contract date, you can use a boomerang to do an end contingent worker contract. You can rescind business processes for terminated workers. The worker's been terminated. They have for instance, a future dated one-time payment for referral that needs to be rescinded. That can be automated. And you can also remove user-based and role-based security from positions upon termination. I know Workday does something automatically. I worked at one company where, for instance, the CFO left, and typically that security assigned to that position stays on the position, but they wanted to reevaluate those role-based security as a new person got hired in. So we ran an integration to strip out all of that role-based security and allow it to be refreshed manually. Other things you have to think about with the boomerangs are business process security considerations, meaning what access do they need on the business process security policies? And then we'll discuss more in the boomerang breakout after this.
Okay, thank you, Eric. It's like the theme, in case people didn't pick it up, you or someone on your team is doing a lot of manual steps and clicking, which Eric's happy to automate that for you, and Todd as well. All right, Todd, tell us what you've got here.
Yes, hi everybody. It's good to be back. I've been on the show several times. I have put together a list of some boomerangs I've done recently from the termination BP. There is the service to put the expiration date on the Workday account, and it sets it as the termination date. This client had a policy where they extended the expiration date into the future so they could get their last pay slips, W-2s, things like that. So that was a manual update that the IT folks were doing. So we took that work away from them and replaced it with a boomerang that takes parameters from the termination BP the worker the termination date, and then does a calc field to append on the extension to the extension date, and updates the workday count automatically. But if some things happen where the termination date or the term is corrected and the term date changes, or if it's rescinded, then that doesn't automatically go and revert the change that was made to the workday account. So we have an audit report that runs weekly, and it detects anomalies based on the intended expiration date, and will audit and then boomerang it back in corrected. Also, number 3 here, when we have folks creating different things like locations, cost centers, there's the code field. They may or may not have access or remember to edit the reference IDs. We prefer to have them be the same for integration purposes. And we have a boomerang that runs and audits objects and will update the reference IDs back if they don't match the code. Let's see.
Is that for all, Todd? Is that for all different types of reference IDs, or did you have to write a boomerang for individually location? Different.
We write them individually.
Got it. Okay.
Yep. Lastly, this was one that was used in an overall employee recognition solution that I created, where we had we turned on the request framework, where employees could initiate recognition awards, and then we used the questionnaire results to come out of the request framework and then format it for the request one-time payment, and submitted it through the boomerang process. So that was just a couple recent boomerangs I've done.
All right, thank you, Todd. I think we're going to have a boomerang focus next month on August 18th as well. So I think we'll invite you back, and we might dive further into some of these.
That's great. That's very good work.
Right? All right, well, as well as a breakout, right? So we're about to get to the breakouts, but what do we got? What do we have next, Teresa?
So next up, we have a 9/9 Apple Watch giveaway. Wow, one early bird registration. The owner of a certain 9/9 number, which we will be, I believe, spinning to find out, is going to win a free Apple Watch. So very exciting.
Yeah, it's a 3rd season of the Sharing Show. We still have not received the answer to the Purple Squirrel's friend. And I thought it was a good idea to do a Workday $300 and a penny guess. We'll still get there eventually, just don't know when. So number 3 here is it's time to spin the wheel. You need to know your 9/9 number, but we will follow up with you. We might actually do this twice, but then we're going to set up with you your 9/9 page. When I say we, it's Christy and the team, the 9/9 team. So Kane, I've stopped using the mouse and we transfer to you now. So your 9/9 number starts with 990 and then 3 digits so far. At one point, we'll have over 1,000 people registered. Okay. So 710. So 990710. Now, Christy, I don't know if you're quickly able to see. Kane, are you able to do it one more time? Just
yes,
in case.
I am.
Right, we do have a little bit of a gap in the numbers.
I do have a winner on that one.
Okay, all right, Kane, let's just, in case that person disappears, because not everyone's replying to emails, let's spin one more time. And whoever 710 is, congratulations to you. Oh my gosh, 456.
Woohoo!
What a great number.
Next up, we have Dawn from Georgia, and she's going to explain, or we will explain, how all of this networking is going to work.
Yep. Okay. So first to you, Dawn, and then we'll follow up with your networking with how we do the networking here.
Awesome. Always excited to be here and share on the Sharing Show. We have a monthly customer networking event that I host and coordinate the first Thursday of the month. We do 9 Pacific or that turns out to be noon Eastern. So if that time zone works for you, would love to have you join. Our next one is August 5th. We leverage Zoom Desktop 5.3, so you need that technology or higher in the Zoom version, and self-select breakout rooms. So what that means is when we open the breakout rooms, you go pick where you want to go. You don't have to commit ahead of time, and you can look and see how many are in the room to say, oh, I bet there's going to be a great conversation here. We have over 40 topics to choose from, and we have folks like Dave who are Kickstarters, and what they do, they're volunteers. They help really just guide the conversation in the topic room. And one of Dave's favorite topics is calc fields. So something we wanted to try in addition to our regular monthly networking is an extra session just about calc fields. So if you are curious about calc fields, whether you're a beginner, an intermediate, or advanced, or you're like me and I had to ask Dave, what is a calc field? This session might be for you. That's going to be Monday, August 9th, and all the details and registration link are on Community. This is a sample of the topics for the August 5th. The highlights really just means we keep fine-tuning or helping understand what could happen in that room or their brand new areas. So deploying Workday is a new topic. So if you know somebody kind of in that realm, that might be a good place for them to go network. And the blue highlights are just a reference so that you can see there's some broader discussions underneath that particular topic that could take place. So managing Workday might be of interest to those with those different areas of being newly live in Workday. These are just some comments we've collected over the months. We've been running this monthly meeting since last November, really to help fill the void of having customers be able to talk to customers. So great discussion, helps me confirm I'm not crazy, and of course, leveraging the technology to pick the different topics. So really hope that you'll join us and share with your Workday colleagues to come and network as well.
Okay, thank you, Don from Georgia. Don, I'm going to come back to this slide just to highlight on the bottom there. This is really, for me, a big deal. I have myself worked with thousands of people on calc fields. And Don, the questions come from all over the place. So up on the top here, 40 plus topics. And so often the calc field topics are actually about payroll or benefits or some area of Workday. And it's more about the object. So we're going to try to do that all in that one session. It'll be 99 minutes, by the way, Don, starting at 9 o'clock Pacific time. Thank you, Don.
Thank you.
It's now time to head to our desired Zoom rooms. You can find those in the chat.
Okay, so here's what we got, Christy and Teresa and everybody. 4 different choices. One of these I need to start, but recruiting, Brooke, go ahead and start your Zoom. Financials, that's Indy and George. I need to start that one. Give me a minute to do that. Eric, you get to start the one for you and Todd. Now, by the way, these are the Kickstarters. The idea is the names you see here are not people who are talking. I mean, they are talking and guiding, but this is actually for everybody here. It's your opportunity to network. If you put your name, your email, your LinkedIn into the chat, know that everybody else has access to that. It's on purpose. That's what networking is about. Here are the rules for these breakouts. Everybody talks. Use the Zoom chat at least to introduce yourself. Nobody talks too much. And when you introduce yourself, at least first name, email, that's if you want to be contacted. Kane, you ready to wrap us up? Now this particular Zoom stays open. And I'm going to keep one eye on this while I'm starting another one. This Zoom is just if you have any questions and you can't find your Zoom, come back to this one and you could look in the chat. And I want to thank everybody, but Kane, this comes to you now.
Excellent. Thank you, David. So thank you, David, Christy, and Teresa, and special thank you to our guests today for appearing on the show and sharing. As always, we will publish the recording to YouTube, and you will find all of the other shows on there from series 1 and 2 and this season as well. Please hit, it's a bit early, let me go back. Please hit the like and subscribe option on YouTube and the notifications bell. That way, when we post this video, you'll be notified about it and any future video as well. With that being said, I'm going to end the show out and we'll come back to this Zoom session. So no one has to leave unless you're going to one of the other sessions, but I'm going to play the outro and we will see you on the 18th of August is the next episode of the Sharing Show. Everyone have a great workday.